Hi everyone and welcome back to Up in Arms. My name's Scot, Assistant Curator of Arms Armour, and this is the Osprey Mark III. So for anyone of a particular generation, certainly my generation, this armour is absolutely iconic. I certainly think it's iconic. If you turn on the news at any point from 2006 to 2016, chances are you would see this at some point on the news. Because this is the armour that was being used by the British troops during their involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan. So where did the Osprey come from? How did it come about? Essentially, it was due to an urgent operational requirement identified in 2005, but particularly there was one incident, unfortunately the death of Sergeant Stephen Roberts in 2003 as a result of friendly fire. He'd actually, unfortunately, been ordered to hand in his body armour. Had he had the armour, chances are he would have been okay. So that is how we arrived at the decision to issue or develop a new body armour for troops in the British Army. And this is what we came up with. So as you can see, we've got the classic desert DPM or disruptive pattern material camouflage. And it's a mix, as we've discussed before with another video on body armour. We have a combination of body armour, defence, and load carrying capabilities. So what we have are these large external pockets, one at the front, one at the rear, and into those you can insert a SAPI or a ballistic plate, essentially bulletproof plate, which is proofed up to a particular level. We also have built into the vest itself what we refer to usually as soft armour, which is made basically of layers of Kevlar. So with this vest, what you can do is stop bullets, certainly bullets that are coming at the front and rear, and you've also got some protection against fragmentation, shrapnel, and to a certain degree, low velocity projectiles from handguns, say. So from 2006, this entered service, and from, I believe, 2009, this was standard issue. This was being given to everyone heading out to Iraq and Afghanistan. Was it popular? Certainly in the early years, not particularly. It's certainly bigger, bulkier, and heavier than the previous armour, the ECBA or Enhanced Combat Body Armour. And when you're out in those conditions in the desert, the heat of Iraq and Afghanistan, that certainly has a very negative impact. But the fact remains that the plates and the configuration of the carrier, it helps save a lot of lives. Guys that were taking hits to the front and the rear, chances are they would come out okay. You still may get a nasty bruise and the wind knocked out of you, but you're probably going to be okay. The real downside of this armour is that there's no armour at all beneath the arms. You've only got that soft armour. So what we see is that enemy forces were actually adapting their strategies so that they were coming at British patrols, British troops from the side, because that was how they could maximise casualties, unfortunately. As time went on, the armour really did prove itself. As I say, cut casualties by a huge degree, and it just did the job. It worked. There were a few issues and snags with the molly or pals webbing at the front. In the early iterations, it did tend to stretch and to snap. It didn't hold things securely, so when you were running, your kit and equipment would wobble all over the place. But those issues were ironed out. It went through several changes. So we have the Mark II, the Mark III, and this one, which is the Mark III modified ensemble. And each time we have different upgrades. So for example, Velcro patches at the bottom so that you can access the plates a little bit more easily. And as you can see, we've got loads of additional pads. So the brassards and the shoulder pads can be removed, likewise with the collar. So the idea of these is if you are on static duties, so say for example, you're manning a checkpoint or a gate, something along those lines, or if you're on top cover in a vehicle, you can have these added onto your armour just to give you a little bit more protection, certainly against things like Molotovs or bricks and stones and whatever else being thrown at you. But for the most part, if you flicked on the news and caught a feature on Afghanistan or Iraq, you'd actually see it in its stripped down configuration, which I'll do for us now. So this is everything dismantled. I'd like to say that was easy, but it was an absolute pain. So these lift the dot studs. They're omnidirectional, so you have to actually find the right direction to pull them. Otherwise, they grip on very, very tightly. So these are all the additional pads. So we have the collar for the neck, and then we have the brass arm and shoulder plate to protect basically the tops of the arms and the side just here. But as I said, these don't have any hard plates in. It's just soft armor, so really they're only good for shrapnel, fragmentation, and very, very low velocity rounds from handguns. So this is generally how you would see the Osprey on the news. Most famously, there's the, I suppose, iconic, very memorable photos of Prince Harry wearing this vest with his toothbrush and pair of scissors stuck down the front of his molly webbing. In this incarnation, so this, like I say, this is the Mark III modified ensemble. So there's a few interesting features to point out. So we've got this leather pad just here and another pad just here. So these are essentially to help secure the stock, the butt of the rifle, so it doesn't slip off the shoulder when firing. Just helps to keep everything a little bit more firm. And we've also got this clip. So this basically connects to the sling of the weapon, so you can actually tether your rifle directly to the armor. So you don't have to start swimming in and out of straps and slings. You don't have all of that across the body. It's all on the shoulder, which is very handy. You'll notice it's on the right shoulder, and this is of course because there are no left-handed shooters in the British Army. Everyone is trained and encouraged to shoot right-handed, so that's why we only have this on the right shoulder. On the rear we have an integral drag strap, so if a buddy is wounded, goes down, you can use that to drag them back to safety. It just facilitates evacuating casualties. And on the rear, if I spin this around, we have some further clips at the top and the bottom just here. So this pocket, just to jump in, this is how you insert the hard plates, the ballistic plates. Going back to the clips, these allow you to basically hook on hydration pouches, backpacks, other things like that. And again, we've got these molly segments on the back, so you can tether kit and equipment, pouches, ammo pouches, GP pouches, whatever. You can attach those directly to the vest itself. So it's all in one piece. You can't lose stuff, I suppose. It's all contained. So as we said before, we have a front and a rear pouch into which you can insert the hard ballistic plates. So essentially, at the bottom here, we have a Velcro strip with two of our lift the dot studs that you can peel back. Open up, and inside you have your hard protective plate. And on the rear, we have our instructions so that you make sure to have it the right way around. So like I say, we have one of these at the front, one of them at the rear. They are very weighty, and it all contributes to the tremendous weight that made this thing so unpopular when it was first issued. But the compromise is the protection was so much better. So as we can see, when we compare this armor to more modern plate carriers, this is starting to show its age in terms of the design and the technology. It is very bulky, it's very heavy. So the plates today, the ballistic plates, they're much thinner, they're much smaller, they're much lighter, they're more comfortable to wear. They are less of a burden on your shoulders, certainly. And the carrier itself, this is incredibly bulky. It is difficult getting around in these things, especially when you have magazine pouches on the front, the rear, whatever. It's not the most current of designs, so it's naturally why we began to phase them out in favor of more streamlined designs with better materials technology involved. So like I said previously, the armor itself goes through various iterations and various upgrades. The first upgrade to the Mark II actually comes very early on in 2006, which by 2006 this armour is already just entering service, so a very quick upgrade. The Mark III comes along, and then we hit the Mark IV, and the Mark IV is almost a total redesign. So what you get with the Mark IV is actually a cummerbund that comes all the way around and velcros over the front. The armour plates, rather than being external, are actually made internally integral to the vest, so it's a lot less bulky. It's more convenient. You're not getting snagged on things when you're getting in and out of vehicles or moving through buildings. It's a little bit more streamlined. And you also have more MOLLE or PALS real estate, so you've got more space for pouches and accessories, basically. Overall, it's a much more convenient and much more modern design. So from the period from 2006 to 2015, 111,000 Osprey vests had been manufactured and issued. Of course, in 2016, the Osprey was retired from service. It was phased out in favour of the new Virtus body armour, which is currently being used today in the British Armed Forces. So that is the Osprey Mark III. If you would like to ask any questions, leave any comments, please do so in the comments section. If you want to find out more about this armour, head over to our Collections Online website. And of course, the Royal Armouries is a charity, so if you'd like to be generous and leave us a donation, all the links are in the description. So with that being said, thank you very much. I hope that's been enjoyable. My name's Scott. This has been Up in Arms. Thank you very much.